evening. A smile returned to the face of English football at international level this week. Tonight we'll see what joy we can find from the Premier League. In 1989 and 91, of course, Arsenal proudly took the league championship. Last year, it was the turn of Leeds United. George Graham's current team were this morning's hot favourites to win the title again. The price, 11-10, after 6 straight wins. Howard Wilkinson's Leeds United, despite playing attractively, couldn't find a win in their last 7. Tonight, our top-of-the-bill match is Leeds United against Arsenal. Then we'll switch to the bottom of the table and Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest. A big surprise they're in that position. Clough's footballing philosophies haven't changed, but they've had a little luck.
Still, Crosby. Good shot! Off the post! Oh! And across the line and missed the other post by a whisker.
Surely Pearce will hit this left-footed. Took several deflections. Clough laid it back. Orlington, Lee Glover, off the line! Out wide to Nigel Clough. One last throw, the dice may be for Forest. Southall's palmed it away. Wone, it was blocked. It was on target, and Wone knows that it would have gone in.
Forest were away to the club just one place off the bottom, Steve Coppell's Crystal Palace, without a single home win. Our third match will be second favourites for the Championship, Aston Villa, playing at Spurs today. Plus, as usual, the goals from all the other Premier League games. And cultured comment tonight from Messrs Brooking and Hanson. Well, first then to Ellen Road and the champions of the last couple of seasons. Leeds scoring goals but conceding just as many. Arsenal, the Premier League's team of the moment. The commentary from Clive Tilson.
One price, another Leeds United title. The country's bookmakers are now ready to offer 20-1 against a successful defence. Arsenal are their clear favourites. But they're without the services of Alan Smith for the next 3 to 4 weeks. A fractured bone in his ankle has broken up his flourishing partnership with White, Campbell and Merson. But it's the chance that Anders Limpar has been straining at the Leeds for. He's one of 8 in that team, just back from international duty. Limpar played for Sweden in Israel and scored what he said was the best goal of his life in that game. Opportunity knocks today for David Rocastle too. His first Premier League start for Leeds against his old club. He's one of 4 ex-Arsenal men in the Leeds team. Tony Dorigo returns to the defence. It's the worst in the Premier League according to the goals against column, but David Batty and Eric Cantona are both missing from the team through injury. Robbie Hart is the man in charge. The vital statistics at kick-off time: Arsenal, no defeat in their last 10 games. Leeds, no win in their last 7. Not sure that a boxing promoter would be allowed to put these two in the same ring at the moment, based on their records. But champions don't become fall guys in the space of 6 months, and certainly Leeds believe they can earn another crack at the title. Here's Lee Chapman. Tony Dorigo back in the number 3 shirt. Gordon Strachan starting wide on the left-hand side, and David Seaman starting very competently indeed. Gordon Strachan will try to pull the strings for Leeds from wide out on the left with Rocastle on the right. Still raining, but sadly yesterday's wind has died down and the pitch is quick rather than heavy. So is Anders Limpar. Touched back by Fairclough and cleared by Lukic. Well stolen by Fairclough. Speed. Rocastle trying to weave his way out of trouble and running straight into it. And Limpar trying his luck from range. Well, he won't lack for confidence, and he certainly won't lack for support from the terraces. He's not played 90 minutes in the Premier League for Arsenal since the opening day of the season. He's all bottled up inside him. Leeds have had 12 days off from their treadmill League and Cup schedule. It's been 2 games a week from day one, and it culminated in 3 defeats in a week, which saw them tumble out of 2 cup competitions. They need to make a fresh start to their season. Strachan with the free kick. Speed arriving! Always just drifting over Seaman and over the bar. But Gary Speed's prowess in the air is no longer a secret in football. He's fast becoming the most complete young midfield player in the country. Strachan. Dorigo. Chapman had a little bit more time than he realised, but he's linked up with Gary McAllister and prepared to take it up himself now. Chapman again. Well to hold off Hillier and find Wallace, who almost found speed. He was just running down a different channel to the one that Wallace passed it down. And they're linking up again to effect, and this time Steve Bold has to step in. Strachan in towards Wallace, well dealt with by Adams. Strachan taking on Dixon, just wrong-footing him. Doing a little bit more than that. It was a useful cross, and David Seaman was struggling to deal with it. But Lee Chapman didn't really anticipate as much. Typically wicked play by Gordon Strachan on that left-hand side, and Seaman was stretching for that, but Chapman wasn't there. Fairclough let it run, and Ian Wright is in, and just couldn't steady himself for a shot. Fairclough had his hands on Wright there for a moment, and Ian Wright is making that point to the linesman. Gary McAllister taking it up. Shoulder to shoulder with Hillier. He's managed to etch out some space for himself. Might just run for Strachan still. It's a goal kick. Ian Wright still making his point to the referee. He got goal side of Chris Fairclough then, and there was just a feeling that Fairclough's hands were raised for a moment and were on Wright's body. Difficult to call. A bit of concern at the moment about David Seaman, who's the worse for wear. They know all about the difficulties of making a successful title defence. They've settled for maintaining their sequence of winning it every other year. They're due. He's big enough and he's brave enough. And he's certainly good enough at the moment. He's right back to his best, David Seaman, England's substitute goalkeeper on Wednesday. Chapman has taken up residence on the edge of the 6-yard box, but it's a different type of throw-in this time. Here's Gary McAllister. It was a nice idea for Strachan, well read by Jensen. Speed. Rocastle with a little bit of a space, and now Rod Wallace with an invitation. Seaman kept it out, and Bolt got it away. And it just opened up there, first for Rocastle and then for Wallace, and David Seaman was exposed. The shot was straight at him. But Rocastle almost had the chance to shoot, but it was a great chance for Wallace. Steve Morrow it was who hooked it away. McAllister's shot. He's scored some spectacular goals already for Leeds this season. He's not a prolific scorer, but when they come, they're usually worth seeing. Brilliant volley here against Liverpool early in the season, and he just tried to control and aim that one, and it was aimed a yard wide of its target. Adams. Dixon. Onside this time. John Lukic out to the edge of his territory though. Dorigo. Bold. An extra touch than I expected him to, certainly. Speed. Wallace. McAllister. Oh, he was looking for Chapman, he almost found a goal. And David Seaman recovered brilliantly. Well, a right smile from Gary McAllister. I may just be doing him an injustice, but I think Lee Chapman was the target there. He almost found the angle between post and bar. He got a bit of the crossbar and a bit of Seaman too. If he meant it, it was breathtaking. Strachan in towards speed, headed away by Adams typically. Good pass from McAllister and from Strachan. This is Rocastle, little back heel which Strachan didn't read. Wright leading the charge out. Has seen him be pushed off the ball by Tony Dorigo. Referee unimpressed. They've both got pace to burn, Dorigo and Wright. It's a real leg race. Dorigo this time looking for Chapman with Wallace to his left. Well held up by the big number 9. Well, he doesn't often score from 23 yards, Lee Chapman. If you added his 51 goals from the last 2 seasons together, they just about add up to 30 yards, I think. Strachan. Dorigo's ahead of him, so too McAllister. David Hillier tidying up. One back by McAllister for Strachan. Clipped in towards Wallace. Oh! Well, he not only missed a great chance, but he denied Lee Chapman one behind him. If he'd been a defender, that was about as good as he could have done. He really should have stuck that away. It's been a difficult season for Rod Wallace. He lost 6 weeks to injury and hasn't quite got his sharpness back. But either Wallace or Chapman looked odds-on favourites there. What a let-off. Speed's had a really dominant sort of game in midfield. It's forced Morrow to concede another throw. Rapidly developing player. More comfortable for Morrow. Only for Strachan though. Flicked in towards Rocastle on a run. Just couldn't quite hold off John Jensen. It's a corner. No, it's not. Yes, it is. There's a gasp from the Leeds fans behind the goal and they sensed the referee had given a free kick instead. Gordon Strachan with the corner. In towards Chapman, it's run through for Gary Speed. But it got caught up in the heavy goalmouth. And Seaman just had to flop on it, really. And that had skidded off the pitch instead. It might have been awkward, but it had almost stopped by the time it reached Seaman. Lampard penalised. But Leach United just won't want this first half to come to an end. They've pressed and pressed and pressed since the midpoint. McAllister. Really hasn't been a more attractive side in the Premier Division this season. Chapman flicking it on. Bowled only for Speed! Oh, he had no idea what a good chance he had. He took it instinctively and tried to leather it into the top corner. And attached to control it, and he could almost have walked it in. Easy set from here. But in a fast, competitive game, Gary Speed did the first thing that came into his mind, and it was wild. And a half that's belonged more and more to Leeds United. More and more, though, their wastefulness in front of goal has cost them the chance to take advantage. Gary Speed had a great chance. So too did Rod Wallace. Gary McAllister's gone close too, but not close enough, because at half-time it's still Leeds United 0, Arsenal 0. Change of personnel forced upon Arsenal. Ray Parlour number 13, the England under-21 international midfield player, replacing David Hillier for this second half. I feel as though I should report that I saw the Arsenal players returning to their hotel at 4 AM this morning. The reason, a bomb scare and a complete evacuation of their rooms in the wee small hours. Adams was just waiting until he got alongside the Leeds fans rather than his own fans before belting it into them. Wouldn't put it past him. Wallace. In towards Chapman. He rather got caught between two ideas there, rather than flick it on or to go for goal himself. It was neither one thing nor the other in the end. Seaman's not doing the kicking. He's not right at all. Adams. Arsenal's reserve goalkeeper is the under-21 international, Alan Miller. And he seems to be stripping off. Wallace. Got support here from McAllister. Dorigo to his left. Played inside Campbell for Dorigo. Wallace was there, but so too was Tony Adams. And they're signalling that it's the end of the road for David Seaman this afternoon. Arsenal are ready to substitute their goalkeeper. They're not going to be allowed to do so before the corner, though, I don't think. One's tracking just having a word with the linesman. He'll do well to get on with it. Flick on by White, and then by Fairclough, and Leeds have scored. Chris Fairclough's goal, but David Seaman's dejection. He was ready to come off before the corner, and he could make no sort of challenge as the ball skidded across the edge of his 6-yard box. And the two Leeds central defenders added to themselves. Fairclough's goal. And will Arsenal regret the decision not to substitute Seaman a minute earlier? Alan Miller's coming on now. Seaman's obviously got a problem with his side. Alan Miller, who's never played for Arsenal at senior level before. He's played league football on loan to several clubs. He was with Birmingham City and West Brom last season. But could he have done more to prevent Leeds from taking the lead? I wonder. Leeds with their tails up. 22-year-old Alan Miller, with plenty to think about. As you can see, there's plenty of him. He's taller than Lee Chapman. He's 6'3". It's a big challenge for him. David Rocastle. Cut back beautifully towards Fairclough. And almost a second for Chris Fairclough. Arsenal living very dangerously. We've got a late equaliser against Coventry here last month, Chris Fairclough. That was a vital goal. Almost doubled his money there. Oh, and that's sold short by Rocastle, and Wright was in, and Lukic did exceptionally well. Well, that's the problem that the pitch is posing now, and David Rocastle against Arsenal of all people. Almost allowed his great friend Ian Wright to beat Lukic. Wright and Rocastle have virtually grown up together, but that was a bit too friendly. Good goalkeeping. Rocastle. Arsenal know all about that kind of ability. Wallace, great cross towards Chapman, terrific goal. That was Leeds United Championship vintage. Searing cross from Rod Wallace. And a meaty header from Lee Chapman against one of his old clubs. Terrific delivery from Wallace. And Chapman, who just scored so many goals at Ellen Road, that's his 12th of the season, and 10 of them have been at home. 2 goals in the space of 6 minutes for Leeds. Ray Parler. Was taken a little bit late there by Rocastle. This is Ian Wright. Prepared to have a go! He's a dangerous customer, isn't he? Something out of nothing from Ian Wright, again. Lukic had to get in touch. It's a pretty good save, wasn't it? Merson's corner. In towards Bold again. Adams got a touch! Just too good a touch in the end. Looped over the crossbar and behind. Steve Bold won the first ball. Tony Adams won the second, and he actually got a bit too much on it under pressure from Chapman. Arsenal having a few things starting to go their way, and Howard Wilkinson's aware of that. He's making others aware of it. White with a free kick. Yusuf. Chapman. Speed. It's gone for Rod Wallace. It's a great chance. He could have finished Arsenal off there. His only league goal this season was back in August. He has had his injury problem since then. Steve Bolt in to handle the ball, actually. But Wallace had the advantage of going on to take a chance, which he couldn't take, if you understand me. Smile, please. Merson. Jensen. They're trying to stay onside again, and Jensen had to delay, and Strachan was in there. And here goes Gary McAllister. Oh, that's a great way to finish. A great afternoon for Leeds United. They needed to win this game so much, and they've done it with a flourish, with a third goal from their skipper, Gary McAllister. Gordon Strachan won it, and Gary McAllister went on to win the game. Lifted it beautifully over Miller. And that surely is the end of any signs of an Arsenal comeback. Leeds have been possessed by the need to give their season a lift. And they've never really looked at any stage during the afternoon as if they were prepared to be denied the victory. And here's Gary Speed. Carl Shutt. In towards Lee Chapman. Don't do it, Lee. It should have been 4, and he knows it. Oh, a tremendous cross. And that really is meat and drink to Lee Chapman. He's lost his bearings. A new leaf is turned in the eventful story of Leeds United's season. Their first win for a month, their first clean sheet for 2 months. Smiles are worn by their bench. 3 goals to nil the final score. 2 goals in the space of 6 minutes early in the second half by Chris Fairclough, followed by Lee Chapman. Fairclough's against wounded Arsenal goalkeeper David Seaman. Leeds came back, or Leeds had to cope with the comeback, but polished it off through Gary McAllister 2 minutes from the end. They put the brakes on Arsenal's gathering charge, beating them for the first time in nearly 13 years, and maybe signalling a belated start to their own title defence. They certainly haven't given it up, and on this form, why should they? Leeds United 3, Arsenal 0.
The most important thing about today's game was that the victory was a justified victory. The performance merited the result.
But you've played that well in certain games this season and not won them.
Yeah. And if I knew the answer to that, or if I could solve that problem, You know, I'd be somewhere making a lot of money acting as an advisor to a lot of managers who have those problems in their career.
Perhaps it's something to do with the clean sheet. I mean, we've drooled over your attacking play today, but you've kept them out.
Yeah, we defended very, very well today, and if you like, on one or two occasions had a little bit of luck. But then of late, if we haven't defended well, or when we haven't defended well, we've had no luck. We've been found out. But today, overall, like the goals we scored, the clean sheet I felt was well deserved.
I thought we were actually very poor in midfield and especially up front. I thought the defence, funnily enough, even though we lost 3-0, I thought the defence really worked hard all throughout the game, and I thought the two centre-backs were excellent. But the forwards were really way, way below par, and also in midfield.
I just got a bang on the hip in the first half from a punch, and it just kept getting worse and worse. You know, my stomach was seizing up and things, so you know, there's no way I could have stayed on.
What was said about it at half-time?
I just went in and had treatment and things, you know, trying to get it moving again. And we just went out and said, you know, give it 10 minutes to see what it feels like. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, I knew he weren't very good, so I seen him to the bench and then they got me off.
Looks like they gave it a minute too long, actually.
But I don't know, you know, it was a set piece that they scored from, and, you know, there were a lot of close headers and things like that, so, you know, I don't think really it had much to do with it, but, you know, I seen them before, and got Alan Miller warmed up, and it just happened to be, you know, a minute too late.
I think this season, I think the Championship's going to be very, very open, right to the wire. I think there's a few teams going to lead the Championships during the season. I mean, we've lost badly today, and yet we're still second in the table. I think there's a lot of twists and turns to this Championship, and I think it'll go right to the end with more than a couple of teams having a say in it.
That'll do Leeds a lot of good, won't it, that today? 20-1 against them retaining their title this morning seemed generous to me. They're still very much in the hunt, aren't
That's
they?
the way to silence your critics. They were terrific today. They scored 3 goals and they had another 4 or 5 good chances, which is no mean feat against Arsenal.
What part do you really think that Seaman's injury played in the end?
Well, he was in the wars right from the start. This is after about 10 minutes. He takes a goal kick. He runs up to it, and after he actually kicks it, it looks as though he's strained something there. And when he gets the treatment, you can see it's on the right-hand side, just above his groin. So he's restricted on that side. Then this happens, the ball comes in from McAllister. That was painful. So that was in his left-hand side. So really, because they had Alan Miller on the bench, they should have taken him off at half-time. Now this is the first goal. Whether or not he should have come for that, it's open to debate. He's maybe 3 or 4 yards out.
Or whether he would have come for it.
Yeah.
Would he?
Well, he might have stayed in his line, you know, it comes quickly. But he hobbles off 10 seconds later. So, as I said, they should have taken him off at half-time because they're the substitute goalkeeper there.
Now, David Rocastle cost a couple of million. Hasn't been getting in the Leeds team, but playing against his own club
day
today
for him.
and had a good one.
He had a great game. The ball holds up here. Great feet, quick, and a lovely weighted pass to Newsom, wide in the right. But this was great play here. The ball just skips away from him. But he gets past Parlour, goes down, gets up again, goes past Morrow. A great pass to Wallace on the right-hand side. Wallace plays it in, a terrific header from Chapman. But the one thing that might have marred his performance was this. He must have thought he was playing for Arsenal here again. When he passes it back, right goes in, and actually, great block from Lukic. But watch it here from this angle. Number 4, rooted to the spot, hands in the head. Oh dear, what have I done? But he was great in the day.
He was. Of course, I think he was bought, wasn't he, to replace Gordon Strachan in the end, but there was no replacing him yet.
He's playing like a man possessed. He really is. Energy and enthusiasm. He picks the ball up here on the left-hand side of the pitch. He makes a good run down. He cuts inside. He floats a good ball in. And Arsenal do well to get it away. He comes to speed and he miscues it. It goes wide. And because Strachan's 36, you'd think he was entitled to have a little rest over at the back post. But goes for a corner. Now look at what Leeds player is looking for this. If you watch it here, McAllister takes it quick. Look at him, number 7. He's the one that's alive and alert. And he puts another great cross in. They're queuing up at the back post, but Adams gets it away. But his part in the third goal was absolutely monumental. He chases Jensen here. Not only does he take it off him, he goes past Adams, then withstands the tackle from Jensen, then plays a pinpoint pass to McAllister, who just dinks it over the top of Miller for another terrific goal.
Fabulous display by him.
Terrific.
Right, before our other main matches tonight, let's briefly show you what happened to the league leaders, Norwich City, who were a point ahead of Arsenal at start of play. They were at home to Sheffield United, and David Davis reports.
It took Norwich an hour to break the deadlock at Carrow Road. They're unbeaten there this season. Darren Beckford's run and cross deflected home by United's defender Paul Beasley, according to referee Mike Peck. The United defence unhappy, but seen from behind the goal, the decision looks to have been the right one. Norwich's lead didn't last long though. Brian Deane is best known as a goal scorer, of course. Today he turned goal provider. And substitute Alan Cork said thank you very much. Cork and Deane, the team that looked to have earned United the draw. But David Phillips' stunning pass 9 minutes from time changed all that, and no surprise who was on the end of Rule Fox's cross. Mark Robbins' 11th goal of the season, another Norwich victory, and waiting for Norwich to fade is becoming a time-consuming business.
What a signing he's been. Well, now let's look at Spurs, showing improved form lately, at home to fourth place Aston Villa, unbeaten in 9 matches. Jury, who'd had chances to score for Scotland against Italy in midweek, hoping to get on the score sheet for Spurs today, while for Villa, Staunton, McGrath and Houghton were returning from international duty with the Republic of Ireland, Saunders with Wales. Tony Gubber at White Hart Lane.
Atkinson to run at the defence. Atkinson faced by Ruddock. Great shot! What a great strike by Dalian Atkinson. McGrath will head it back to his keeper. Earl Barrett. Oh, poor ball by Earl Barrett. He gave it straight to Naeem. Samways goes on the outside. Here he is. Spink saves. And Villa look accusingly at Earl Barrett. Ray Houghton. Dalian Atkinson. Down for Parker. Houghton. Richardson. This is Staunton. Oh, it was Saunders behind Mabbott. Small swing at that. Gary Parker. Just for a second the door had opened. And as Gary Parker took aim on the Spurs goal, the white shirts flew in. Dalian Atkinson. He's got good speed on him, Atkinson, hasn't he? He's really pressed them, and that was a great shot. He just seems to pick up pace, Dalian Atkinson, when he has the ball at his feet. He's able to run quicker with it than anybody else. Well into stoppage time in this first half. Jury off the bar! And he was so purposeful about it. It's a good jump there by Sheringham to win it, and his striking partner Jury was so purposeful, and it just clipped the top of the bar. And finally by Richardson to Dalian Atkinson, who finds Staunton. Smalls coming down the line. He's got him on the outside if he wants to use him. Staunton! He's only found the net once this season, Steve Staunton, but he got a lot of punch behind that. Houghton lays it down. Richardson, oh, clever play. Long left foot, McGrath! Off the line by Ruddock! Parker, little chip up. And that's finally safely down to Thorsved, but that's the best chance anybody has had. Paul McGrath on the far post. A long teasing ball by Kevin Richardson. Down to the goal. Thorsved was beaten, and it was Ruddock who hooked it clear. Dalian Atkinson. Oh, inside to Ray Houghton. Fabulous little bit of football. That was one from the training ground. Staunton down the line. Atkinson pulled it inside. Ray Houghton ran into the box, and Thorsved had to make a good stop. And again, Villa threatened to open them up. McGrath again off the line, that time by Paul Allen. Paul McGrath has only got 1 goal so far this season, but in the space of a couple of minutes, he's had 2 efforts cleared off the line. Staunton again. Ray Houghton, good build-up here by Villa. Out wide to Gary Parker. They've all gone to the far post. Gary Parker, left foot. Forsmed just tipped it over. Brought it on his left side, and when he shot, the Spurs players felt that 2 or 3 Villa men were offside.
No goals, but Villa now 10 games unbeaten. Well, the price of relegation will be heavier than ever this season, bearing in mind the financial advantages of Premier League membership. It's that end of the table we concentrate on now, with the bottom 2, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. A surprising position for both these clubs to be in, but let's see what happened between them at Selhurst Park today. The commentator is John Motson.
No player from the Premier League made a bigger impression on the international circuit this week than Nottingham Forest's Roy Keane, whose display for the Republic of Ireland in Spain had Diego Maradona, among others, raving about him. Today, this rapidly maturing 21-year-old is in midfield again, although Brian Clough believes he has a future in the back 4. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Neil Webb, who Forest have re-signed from Manchester United, becomes available next week. For today, there's one change in the lineup. At number 7, Gary Bannister replaces Toddy Orlickson, and I suspect that may mean a deeper role for number 9, Nigel Clough. And talking of England's squad players, a blow for Palace today. John Solako is again troubled by a knee injury, so at number 10, Paul Mortimer, twice a big money buy, gets his first game in the Premier League. At number 2, John Humphrey is back. Richard Shaw switches to left back because Lee Sinnott is suspended. So it's the defence that 2 seasons ago was the Palace backbone when they finished 3rd in the top division. One of the best referees in the world, Keith Hackett, gets the match started. Nottingham Forest playing in white shirts from the right, and you could forgive these 2 teams if they're sick of the sight of each other. They've played 13 times over the last 3 seasons, Palace and Forest. Here's Nigel Clough. 5 wins for Forest, 2 for Palace, and 6 draws is the record, and that's an offside. Just think I caught sight of a brooding Brian Clough in the background there. He must be wondering just where the next goal and the next point's coming from at the moment. And Steve Coppell probably feels the same. Brian Clough in his 28th year of management. Williams. Shaw to Mortimer. Southgate. Chipped in for Armstrong there. Chris Armstrong with 5 goals in 10 Premier League games since he joined Palace from Millwall. Looking to get on the end of a cross here from Gareth Southgate. Nicely chipped up. Just glancing the header wide. Bannister, that was a good touch. Scott Gemmell. Good position on the right-hand side for Roy Keane. Great running by Keane from midfield. Martin has skirted himself, and Richard Shaw away from inside the 6-yard box. And Forest had acres of space on the right-hand side. Gemmell's vision, Keane's run, and ultimately, with Martin stranded, Shaw's clearance. Corner to Forest. Here comes Laws. Clough, offside. One of those offside decisions that's made by a referee and not by a linesman. Nigel Clough just slightly querying it with Keith Hackett, but the referee was in line if you watch this. When the corner's cleared, it's come out to Brian Laws, the right back. Palace clears their lines, or at least push forward, and that's where the referee gave the decision. It was Tyler buffeting Armstrong. Free kick. And Eric Young has gone forward. Andy Thorne to take. There's Young, there's Williams! And Crossley falls at Williams' feet. Williams looking for his first goal for Palace since coming from Sheffield Wednesday in the Bright deal. He might have got it here. Eric Young is a threat as he comes in on the header, and Williams doesn't quite connect first time. Glover. Clough. Now Stuart Pearce has gone into the attack. Gemmell, Keane, Laws, Chettle. Typical Forest build-up. Bannister. It's all to feet. Keane again. Clough. Pearce. And now Wone. Oh, Glover didn't make it, and Keane tried to come in from the angle, and his shot fizzed across the 6-yard box. This was a really good move by Forest. It was built up studiously. Wone fired in the low cross. Neither of the strikers quite got it, but Keane did. McGoldrick. Pearce got in the way, but here's Armstrong. Goal! Armstrong puts Palace in front, and Stuart Pearce ruefully reflecting on a bit of bad luck. But Palace won't be complaining. Armstrong took that really well, his 6th goal. McGoldrick was looking for Williams. It was Pearce's interception, but it went straight into Armstrong's path, and how well he finished that. 23 minutes gone, and the striker for whom Palace paid Millwall around £1 million, number 9, Chris Armstrong, scores his 6th goal in 11 league games. And it leaves Brian Clough and Archie Gemmell with even more solemn faces. Foul, Eric Young on Glover. And Pearce lines the ball up. And hits a beauty into the side netting. It was a good old thump by Stuart Pearce, but just the wrong side of the post from his angle. And I dare say Nigel Martin might argue he had it covered. Just. Williams, he's got past Chettle here. Armstrong, oh, did that catch the goalkeeper's feet? Well, Armstrong looked odds on to make it 2-0, and it was somehow deflected round for a corner, which Mortimer will take. Mortimer's cross, Pearce's header away. Well, Armstrong there was on the hunt for his 2nd goal of the match, and the man who does really well here is Paul Williams, turning Chettle by the goal line, cuts it back, and I think it glanced off the goalkeeper's feet from Armstrong. Good challenge by Carl Tyler. And it's a full-blooded game with a lot of enterprise, and the crowd of 15,300 wondering if Palace can tighten their grip here. Oh, and the header was by Armstrong. He looks a good signing, I have to say. And while the defenders were aware of number 5 Young and number 6 Thorne, here's Williams taking on Chettle. Same again, off Tyler this time. Mortimer, back to him. And Forest are not clearing their lines well here. Southgate finally. Just over 10 minutes into the 2nd half. It's still Palace. The Eagles 1-0 up. Armstrong might have doubled it. Gemmell, Keane. the passes. They're so sweet and succinct, and Forest refuse to change their style. Look at that. Keane. Brilliant stuff, really. It may not be where it hurts Palace, but here comes Pearce. Clough. Pearce has gone sprawling. It's a foul. Now then, that string of excellent passing has earned Nottingham Forest a reward. It's a free kick, just over 20 yards out, fairly central. And Stuart Pearce and Nigel Clough will look to produce something here. There's some leaning into the wall by two Forest players. Pearce curls it, but that one went a little tamely past the post that I thought Nigel Martin had covered. It wasn't the Pearce blockbuster here, it was a more curling effort. Williams to Armstrong, and they're coming from midfield here for Palace if he's aware of them. It's still Armstrong, and he was McGoldrick. Snappy move. Good play by Armstrong, this. He held it up well against Chettle and chipped in a nice ball for McGoldrick, who just had to lean back a bit to get in the header. Coleman. Laws. Well, Forest have got 10 minutes in which to salvage something here. That's one of the better passes of the afternoon from Clough to Glover. Gemmell's made a run into the centre for Forest. Plenty of defenders there. It's still Glover. Wone against the bar. Bad luck. And he holds his head. It's not Forest's. I was going to say it's not their day. It hasn't really been their day for much of the season. And look at this. On the break, it's Williams. Crossley comes all the way. And Forest still reflecting on Wone's header. This was the nearest they'd come to scoring all afternoon. Glover sets the play up. With the chip. Header by Wone. Don't know whether Nigel Martin got a fingernail on it, but it hit the bar anyway. Come on. Oh, bad pass by Thorne. Now it's Clough, and it's Wone with a chance. And Martin saves. Wone again, surely. And it's in. It's in. Wone will claim it, I think. Bannister just made sure it was over the line. And at last, Forest have got some joy. There was a bellow from the bench from Brian Clough. We caught on camera about 30 seconds before that move. Whether they heard him, I don't know. But Ian Wone did really well there. Clough's team, thumbs up. They're back in it. Nigel Clough. Ian Wone, here comes the goalkeeper. First one back off the keeper, and then Wone throws himself for a header. Andy Thorne actually is the last player, and then Bannister makes absolutely sure. Let's see from this angle. There it goes. Well, Bannister may have a go at claiming it, but Wone went away as though it was his goal. 1-1. Steve Coppell must be agonising over another match that looks like getting away. They had the lead. Keane finds Pearce. This could be the last attack. Time going to be added on now for stoppages. And the two teams at the bottom share the points. Crystal Palace had another lead slip away and are still looking for their first win in the Premier League at home. Disappointing finish really for Steve Coppell, who shakes hands with Brian Clough, whose team stuck to their task and came out with something to show for the game. Their fourth consecutive draw away. There's something there to build on. Stuart Pearce thanks the fans. Neil Webb is still to come into the side. And Forest passing, and their approach play was as good as ever. Palace, though, will think that they should have sewn the game up.
Now, Trev, what are we to make of Forest? Because there they are at the bottom. They're playing delightful football. More evidence of that tonight. Everybody says, well, they're bound to escape. They're too good to stay there. What do you make of it all?
Well, I think they are too good. I mean, it's just a case their approach work is excellent. They've just got to put the ball in the net. They're a bit unlucky to concede, to be fair, the opening goal. I mean, they've had a bit of bad luck this season. And when the ball sort of breaks here to Eddie McGoldrick, he tries to play Paul Williams through. Stuart Pearce makes a good interception, falls right into the path of Chris Armstrong. to be fair to Armstrong, he tucks it away very well, but it did just open up the defence, the interception from Pearce. You know, that certainly was unlucky. And in the first half, it was weird that Roy Keane out wide on the right, he receives possession here. Nigel Clough in centre midfield, and to me, the both of them were far less effective than normal. Glover there plays a good ball into Keane. This is the one moment when he got clear. Bad pullback, because you can see Bannister waiting there. But he was wasted. He didn't see enough of the ball. Then certainly what they desperately need is a goal scorer. I mean, once this ball goes way beyond the far post there and Wone puts it back across, Bannister side foots it, you think he must score, but he doesn't. And those chances are going astray at the moment. But I mean, their approach play is terrific. And in the second half, once they switched Keane into centre midfield, Clough moved further up. And although he continued to drop into midfield, it's a lot different dropping off from the front rather than be stuck in the midfield as he was in the first half. Here, for instance, he's found space and he starts to release the midfield players. This is Scott Gemmell's running forward. And although, in fact, when it's crossed, first of all, it gets blocked, he picks up the rebound. Again, they're getting men forward. And Clough, as I say, has created that opening. It comes over. They lack a little bit of height in the penalty box. I mean, Wone's headed it there. But another query is that lack of height. But as I say, Laws knocks it into Clough. He spins off his marker. Again, coming from the front, though, lays a super ball down the line. And Lee Glover plays intelligently here, holds it up. At the moment, there's nobody in the penalty area, waits for people to join. And again, checks, waits again. And he had Wone, who kept popping up in the second half, does very well with a ball behind him to get his head to that. Comes back off the crossbar. And at this stage, you think, well, it is going to be one of those afternoons. But they do get a break. Eric Young slices that clearance. Andy Thorne gives it to Nigel Clough, who does superb here. Look at Glover out wide there. He waits for him to come back onside, releases a perfect pass, and Ian Wone thinks to himself, oh no, is it going to go out again? Drops kindly for a change, headed it back across, and Bannister just makes sure, and it's his goal.
Yeah. So you think they'll get out of it, Forrest?
I think they desperately need a goal scorer. That's why I was a bit surprised to see Neil Webb go there, because you think to yourself, well, was midfield a priority, really? I didn't think so.
But you still think they'll get out of it?
I think they will, yes.
But do you think Palace will get out of it, Alan?
I think Palace will go. I would say that it's bad for the game that Forest at the bottom of the division, a side that actually tries and plays it in the right way. As I said, it's bad for the game that they're at the bottom of the Premier Division.
But do you think Palace will get out of it?
I'm not so sure if Palace will get out of it. I'm not so sure if Forest will get out of it. They're trying to play their way out. Sometimes you've got to change your style of play. Sometimes you've got to get it forward and scrap for it. I'm not so sure Forest can do that.
OK. Well, now the rest of the goals from today's Premier League matches, beginning with mid-table Manchester United at home to Oldham.
Manchester United, without a goal in their last 6 hours over 4 games, found the Oldham defence just the tonic they needed. Brian McClare was the first to benefit. Only McClare's second goal in 20 games, 1-0 after 10 minutes. Oldham haven't won away since last January, and almost from the restart today they were in trouble again. Now Brian McClare was to provide the telling pass, and Mark Hughes proved he hasn't forgotten the way to score either. 2 goals in 2 minutes, United's barren spell very much over, and the game was really over as a contest before half-time. A nightmare for the Oldham defence, but Steve Bruce's back heel to be enjoyed. Brian McClare's second of the afternoon, he might have had a hat-trick later. A day of joy and relief in equal measure for Manchester United. It all started so well for Coventry City, not least for their on-loan acquisition from Newcastle this week, Mickey Quinn. 1-0 after 12 minutes, and there was better to come after the break from the man Kevin Keegan has transfer listed. Mind you, Terry Phelan's back pass certainly helped. Quinn in the clear. Surely this was to be a dream debut. Well, actually it wasn't. Manchester City have a new resilience, and Rick Holden is reproducing the form that prompted his purchase from Oldham. Mike Sherron's goal was his 5th in 4 league games, and suddenly Coventry were under pressure. It was too much for a side whose home form has let them down before. Manchester City's equaliser, it seemed everybody wanted to claim. Fitzroy Simpson seemed to have the most to celebrate. 11 minutes from the end, and City pressed forward again, and Keith Curle had the pace to unsettle Andy Pearce. A game, this one, transformed in less than 25 minutes. The City captain making no mistake from the penalty spot. Manchester City's fight back complete. Their manager well pleased, as he told Gerald Sinstad.
We kept on going, and like I said before, Gerald, we showed a lot of character coming back. And in the end, well, in the second half, we had a few chances besides the 3 we got.
These are depressing times for the Everton faithful, and Chelsea in white deepened the gloom with the only goal of the game at Goodison. Neville Southall denying Mick Harford, but not Robert Fleck. The goal moments before half-time, and Chelsea really deservedly in front. But Everton having the better of the second half, producing several clear chances as well, the best of them set up by Peter Beardsley for sub Stuart Barlow. Gareth Hall was Chelsea's saviour, and Everton have only won once in the Premier League at Goodison Park. Wednesday, another club from whom goals are too scarce, Ipswich's Neil Thompson helped them out. They couldn't build on their lead though, and Ipswich are the draw specialists. Paul Goddard and Chris Kiwomya unsettled the home side several times. Eventually, they made it count. And Chris Kiwomya, well, he seemed pretty pleased with the outcome, didn't he? An offside controversy at Ayresome Park, where John Hendry scored the first Middlesbrough goal in the second half. A mass Wimbledon protest led by Vinnie Jones followed. Referee Worrell had disallowed the goal and then changed his mind. Not Mr. Jones's week, really. He was later booked as well, and worse was to come as Borough broke again. Paul Wilkinson unsettling the Wimbledon defence. Chris Morris with his first goal since signing from Celtic last summer, and Borough's first win since early September.
Now, if ever there was a week when you would have expected Vinny to have a nice quiet afternoon and cool it a little bit, this was it, wasn't it, really? But somehow it didn't quite work out like that.
Well, you'd have thought he'd been tiptoeing. But, I mean, if Vinny holds back, then he's half the player, isn't he? I mean, there's nothing wrong, actually, as this cross comes over with the challenge on the goalkeeper, Stephen Pearce. It's what happens afterwards. You know, suddenly he gets up and he leans into John Gittins with his head. I mean, a different defender could have gone down and tried to get him into trouble, got him sent off. Now, Joe Worrell has a long word with him because he's agitated the Middlesbrough supporters, but he doesn't hold back, does he? Here, as you see, you go into this block tackle, look at that shove down onto the floor. I mean, that one was let go, so he's got away with that second one. Comes back into midfield, and as the ball then is laid off by the Middlesbrough Willie Faulkner, again a late tackle, he just nips out of the way of that. But the third one then, look at this, two-footed, in he goes, up goes John Hendry, and I think Joe Worrell thinks to himself, well, enough is enough. And then the Middlesbrough players are holding him back, and I mean, you'd have thought he'd kept a low profile, but you certainly didn't on that evidence.
Somebody's got to have a serious word with him, haven't they?
The bad bit about it was he went looking for trouble. You know, as you said, the week he's had, you'd have thought that you'd steered clear of it. But in all these incidents, he was the one that went looking for the trouble.
Yeah, Black Mark Vinny today. The league table looks like this. At the top, Norwich City surprising everybody but themselves, I guess, leading the table now by 4 points. And at the bottom, Nottingham Forest surprising everybody, including themselves, by being a point adrift right at the bottom. Right, 3 weeks tomorrow we'll be presenting our annual Sports Review of the Year, and that of course means it's voting time for the Sports Personality of the Year. This year in particular, there are some outstanding candidates.
The 1991 BBC Television Sports Personality of the Year is Liz McColgan.
He's going to take the gold medal to become the 4,000-metre Olympic champion, and he does just that.
He's got him again, he won't get up from that. Is to be champion.
goes for it. Goodall going for gold. And Goodall gets the gold. So Mansell crosses the line and becomes Britain's first world champion for 16 years.
So to vote for your Sports Personality of the Year, simply send a postcard naming your choice, not forgetting to put your own name and address. And the address to send it to is this: Sports Department, BBC Television Centre, Wood Lane, London, W12 7RJ. Have another look at that for a second or two. And closing date is Friday the 11th. That's 2 days before the programme. Well, there we are. We'll have more football for you in Sports Night on Wednesday. Hope you've enjoyed today's action. Leeds United very much back in the title race. Good night from us.